Hello, everybody. Welcome to Profiling Evil. Got Skylar here tonight, and it is choir practice. Skylar, how's your day going?
Good.
Good.
Can't complain. How about yours?
Mine's been good. Yeah, it's been interesting to watch things unfolding. We've had a lot of interesting conversation going on. I want to shout out to a batch of people who are piling in already, especially our mods. We want to thank them for jumping in and taking care of things. Mimi J too. Thanks so much, Dan Culvert. TPT4J, and that's a hard one to say, the People's Team for Justice. Regal Rabbit, it's just really great. Katie Dutch, Betty Smith, it's Brett Montgomery, I think I saw earlier, haven't seen him in the last time or two, but Rick Taylor, just great to see everybody. I want to just say right off the bat, Skylar, our friends at Dr. Pepper have been so good to us, not only through the search and when we were searching for Lloyd Reese and David Jaramillo, they took care of everybody. And I think the Diesel Brother guys probably drank gallons and gallons of Dr. Pepper while we were there. But it was great, and they have been really good to us. So thanks to our friends at Dr. Pepper, and for all of you for taking time to jump in. How are we going to do things tonight, Skylar?
So we have turned on tonight subscriber only chat. So if you're subscribed to the channel, you'll be able to chat tonight. And we want everybody to be able to chat. So if you want to join in on the conversation, please subscribe. Also like the video, do all that good stuff you do on YouTube. But yeah, we're not trying to exclude anyone. We just want our subscribers to be able to chat. And so subscribe and do it. So we're going to be doing Corey, new to this channel. Well, we're glad you're here.
Isn't part of that too? I mean, we just have so many questions that are coming in, and we just want to make sure that we're answering them.
Yeah, so we're going to do things a little bit different tonight. Not too different, but we're going to do our typical AMA, which is Ask Mike Anything, where we'll pull questions from everybody in the chat. But we're also going to give our members, I think if we can pull it off, we're going to try to pull it off, but we're going to give our members an opportunity to have, 5, 10, maybe 15 minutes alone with Mike. Anybody's still going to be able to keep watching and participating and all that, but their questions and comments will be the only ones that we see or that are able to be written in the chat. So we'll do that just for a few minutes for our members, and then we'll jump back to everybody and anybody asking questions to Mike and the team and whomever else. So yeah, I don't know, does that explain it very well? I'm looking at the back office to see if I did okay. They're giving me a
yeah, and we're gonna see how this goes. I mean, we want to thank those people that support us. That it does help us continue to roll out good content, so that's really valuable. Wanted to give a quick update too. We have been working with the mortuary on the plot and the headstone for Lloyd Reese, and we've been working with the family on that. We're moving forward. We will, once we have some dates on when that stone will be set, we're going to work with the family to have a graveside service and a memorial service they actually want to do there. So we're going to help set them up with some clergy and be able to have a graveside service that hopefully will be meaningful for the family. So thank you to everyone who helped so much in regard to Lloyd Reese. We were able to hit our goal and be able to not only provide for taking care of this burial and the headstone, but also we're going to have, I think, enough money left over, Skylar, that we're going to be able to help a little bit with some food and some things like that for family that come.
Absolutely. We appreciate everybody. We try to we try to thank everybody, but if we missed you, we're sorry and thank you. Everybody who donated and helped. This was amazing, and we'll provide some updates like you said, right? So
yeah, it's great. Joey Faye, thank you.
Well, let's get this show on the
Morphew case today. Wow, the defense came out swinging. They walked in. Everybody was kind of surprised because there were extra bodies sitting at the defense table and people weren't sure why. Folks, if you didn't catch my video early this morning before the hearing started, we posted a video about something that I thought was going to be a bigger deal than it had been to date. And it proved out to be true, and that is this location information. And so go back and watch that video if you didn't watch it. If you did, put some comments in there about how that impacted you and if it changed your opinion about things. But it was clear when they walked in, they had experts that were going to be able to talk about these ghosting images that occur when a cell phone is sitting in a single location. And it helps answer the question that the defense raised about how can this person fly through walls and travel at 40 miles an hour or whatever. There are reasons for that. So we invite you to go back and look at that. But they had that group of people there. They immediately went to town talking about chemicals in the possibility of the tranquilizer gun, and this thing was just moving all day long. And we had a couple of insiders sitting in the courtroom today, and I want to bring in Allie to talk about her experience of sitting in the court. And the back office, especially Tyler, will remember Allie because how are you? It's good to see you.
Good. How are you?
Doing well. Allie, when Andy's army went out and searched for Suzanne last September, you actually set up the medical tent and took care of things on site from a medical perspective for that nearly 700 person army of volunteers. What was that experience like?
It was good. It was not needed, thankfully. We got to sit under a tent while everybody else worked really hard. We, put a couple Band-Aids on a blister, and we helped somebody breathe who had some breathing issues. And other than that, made some really good nursing friends and people that'll, be forever in my life. They're here with me now. So,
well, yeah, let's talk about that. I mean, you decided you were going to make the trek back up to Salida and try to catch day 3 and 4 of the hearing. And so who did you come with, and how far did you travel? And talk about just the experience of getting there early in the morning and trying to get a seat.
Well, I came by myself from Dallas, but I did meet up with another nurse that I had met from Colorado, and also a few of the girls that were here in town who knew Suzanne that I met during the search. And we got up. We went to bed late and we got up early. We got there at 3 o'clock this morning. And
were you the first ones there?
Well, let's just put it this way. We were in the wrong parking lot, and we were the first ones there. We would have still been the first ones there until it was about 4:15, and we were like, wait, we're still the first ones here. Something's wrong. And then we looked, and we were like, wait a minute, we think it's over there. And sure enough, it was. And there were 2 other people ahead of us. One of them was Gabby, who had been on with you before.
Oh, great.
And then another girl who was at the search, and then us. So we were the 3rd and 4th person in line. And today there were a lot more people than there was on day 1 and day 2.
And how many did they actually seat? Is it still about 8 people, or?
It was 8 for the first session and 7 for the second session.
Wow.
Yeah, they give a certain amount of room to the media. So depending on how many seats the media take up, that affects it. So, and they're still spacing it out for COVID.
So you sat there for 5 hours so that you could get in. That's an incredible amount of dedication. Talk about the emotion today as you sat there, seeing Barry, seeing the court proceedings unfold. What was happening?
I had a lot of emotion when I saw Barry. First, I was angry, very angry, because number one, I'm a Suzanne supporter. I, in my heart, believe that he has something to do with her disappearance and her death. So I'm Team Suzanne. And also today we had a sign on the wall that said, basically no communication between the defendant's table and anybody in the gallery, meaning, I guess, no communication between the kids and Barry today, which I guess they'd seen before last week or the last day or two.
Yeah, that was actually what was reported in day 2, is that Barry was turning, dropping his mask, mouthing words to the kids. It's a communication going back and forth, which, I mean, you could certainly understand. I'd want to talk to my kids if that would be my only safety net at that point, to somehow connect.
Sure.
But Judge Murphy said, absolutely not. It's not going to happen. And it sounds like he really took an iron rod to that.
Well, he put a sign up, but it stopped some of it, but it didn't stop. But so like I said, a little angry because he was it didn't seem to bother him to be there, really, to tell you the truth. He was very confident, very, in his chair. There were a few times today during some testimony where he was rattled. At points, he finally got rattled. But other than that, he was more than fine to be there. And
describe rattled. What do you mean by rattled?
Well, I had a really good view of him because I was on the very corner of the aisle and he was sitting to my right. So I was literally no more than 5 yards away from him, and he was just catty corner to me. And so I could see the side and the back of him. And, he was just normally sitting back. But, when they talked about a couple of things, and one of them was him getting the sorry, this is hard for me to talk about a little bit. When Agent Grusing was talking about him showing pictures of Suzanne, and he said, what he showed her, he showed Barry 5 pictures of Suzanne, and he said, yeah, she looks intoxicated in all those photos. And the assistant DA said, well, what do you see? He said that to Agent Grusing, and Agent Grusing said, I noticed that she's smiling in every single one. And you could see that he just kind of gripped the side of his chair and kind of would push up. And things that he didn't like or didn't, agree with, you could tell when he would get rustled or things would bother him. And it was obvious. Otherwise, he was just kicked back in his chair. But otherwise, it was a note or just a grip on that chair, pretty tight grip on that chair.
You also had a chance during some of the breaks and at the beginning of the day to take a couple of photographs. I think the photographs of the girls we won't show, obviously. I mean, I still, even though they're adults, I don't know. I don't think we'll show those. But if the back office could pull up the one of the defense counsel walking in this morning, how early did they arrive? How soon right before start time? And what were your thoughts? Was there anybody saying anything to them as they walked in?
Nobody said a word, but a lot of people were videotaping them. Of course, a lot of it was media. They got there around 7:15. But I know that they did have to do some, I think they had to do some interviews before court started. I know you don't call it interviews, but whatever. They had to talk with, I think, maybe Agent Grusing again. But they had to speak to somebody, and it may have been somebody else, but they were there early. And then during the lunch break, they also stayed in the courtroom and worked during that time period as well.
Now, word on the street, because I got my courthouse snitches out there working, is that you got rousted for having your camera out, but then the sheriff just smiled and said you were okay. What was that all about? Here's
the story. I got ratted that I was videotaping, and Nay was not videotaping. I was taking pictures. And so I told him, I said, I was not taking any video. I said, I'll be glad to show it to you. The only video I took was this morning. And he was like, you're good. Just head on back in there. And yeah, this is my ill attempt at a good video, but I
So yeah, why don't you talk about that? It's the defense team walking in, obviously.
yes, defense team, and they have some extra helpers, and also the private investigator is sitting at their table these days, which is right beside Barry, actually, which we thought was kind of strange. I don't know.
Who, when you say the private investigator, so an
Barry's.
investigator that the defense has hired.
Yeah.
So
Well, they say it's the Barry's the private investigator that he's had, evidently.
oh, okay. Well, it's not uncommon to bring someone that you might call as a witness up to the counsel table, and just because they have so much intimate knowledge about the case that they're a great resource. Did you see anything going back and forth amongst the defense team when certain pieces of testimony were given out that they showed like concern that they had to hurry and fix something or respond in a certain way? Were you able to watch that at all happening?
Well, they did. Russell, I mean, they, like I said, he would write notes if you could tell that they were taking notes about things, and I wrote some notes down. I'm gonna read what I wrote because
Yeah, great.
I'm nervous. So let me tell you what I wrote on here.
Don't be nervous. There's only thousands of people watching. So
That's it. Gee, okay. So here's what one of the things that made him a little irritated is that when it was Under Sheriff Rorig was on the stand, and he was fascinating. Number one, they asked him about his past history, and he said that, he'd been in law enforcement for 23 years, but 4 of it, he was in animal control. And I thought, who cares, But they asked him that because he had a lot of experience with tranquilizer darts, because he had to go out and feral cats, dogs that were, people had found that were biting people, things like that, things of that nature. And so that came back into play. He was also an avid hunter, and he knew all about the season for elk and when they shed their antlers and when they mate and when they do this and when they do that. And
can I interrupt you right there?
Sure.
Because there were a couple of really important points that came out, and we live in elk country here as well, and so we were surprised by some of the things. Elk will actually shed their antlers between January and usually the first week or so of April. So theoretically, there could still be some sheds or some antlers flopping around and getting ready to drop off of an elk at that time of year, which was interesting because we're going to talk about why that was so interesting that came up. But one thing that was said is that was completely inconsistent with any behavior that we've ever witnessed with elk. And again, we see a lot of elk here, is that the bulls and the cows by April are not running together. That's a different time of season generally. So that was kind of interesting to hear some of that testimony. So it was so important that investigation from the chief came in the way it did.
Yes, that came in. And like you said, he was talking about the antlers, and I'll let you talk about that. But he got very rustled by him having a lot of that and talking about a lot of that. And so when they were talking to him about some of those things, they brought up when they asked him about it, he was asking about when he was leaving the house initially, which way he went towards Broomfield. And he said he went left because that's the way that the elk or the bull, is a bull elk, the bull elk went, and he wanted to get the antlers. But Broomfield is right, and the helmet was found left and 0.84 miles away.
In
And that's also
0.84. Yeah. In fact, I'm going to bring up something while you're talking. Please continue.
sorry. Yeah, sorry. So they had asked him this, I guess. Under Sheriff Rorig brought that up initially, and then, of course, throughout the day, it was reinforced, by Agent Grusing, and I'm trying to think if there wasn't someone else who maybe, for sure, Agent Grusing, but they all asked, and he said left every single time, but did not catch himself that he went that way. And of course, they used the mileage to tell, a certain way he went to Broomfield, and obviously it's off by the 19 miles, and they're trying to uncover that. But he was a little frustrated by that, you could tell. He also was really frustrated when he talked about how the tranquilizer darts worked and how they, how basically they affected the people, and that, how they were used. In other words, they're not as uncommon as you would think. So
yeah, let me just, while we're talking here, and thanks to Tracy Hernandez, that's so nice. I just to orient people from the Morphew home, to leave the home, they would actually drive down this road, this direction, and then they would head out toward the highway. And as they crossed this small point right in here, that's where Suzanne's bike was found. But what Allie is speaking about is that as they come up, as Barry would come up to the road, he had a choice of turning right to head to Salida, or to go left to look at this elk or whatever he's theorizing it was that he was chasing. The thing that's interesting is up the road, about in this area, is where Suzanne's helmet was found, correct?
yes, they found her helmet in that direction. Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
And that's what they said. And he got a little scribbly he wrote a note, and they passed it, and he got a little tense. But like I said, he's got definite body language. He's cool, calm until he hears something he doesn't really like.
Yeah. So in your opinion today, as you watch things, who won, the defense or the prosecution today?
The prosecution brought out a lot more, in my opinion, than they did on day 1 and day 2. We heard a lot more information. And Judge Murphy really held the defense to their time, equal time. He timed it. He literally timed it. He said, "You've got 40 minutes left," and I think that's what kept things moving on the way that it did. I think, more needs to be uncovered.
Well, you have an awfully lot to process, and I'm sure you're exhausted. There's nothing like sitting and feeling the emotion of a courtroom, the incredible amount of boredom, and then all of a sudden that explosive moment that happens, and then some more boredom. Really appreciate you coming on, Allie, and maybe you could give Gabby our best, and we'll see who figures their way into the courtroom tomorrow, and maybe we can chat tomorrow night about how the rest of the night went. And I don't know, Skylar, if there's any question for Allie, but we probably ought to let her get some dinner and call it a night.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Allie, for joining.
Thanks, Skylar. Thanks.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
We'll look forward to hearing from you tomorrow. Keep sending me texts. That was really interesting today.
We'll do it. We'll do it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Allie.
Bye.
Thank you. Yeah, it was interesting, Skylar. I had, of course, Lauren was shooting texts over today. We had, gosh, 5 people, I think, inside the courtroom that that we were able to communicate with and get some information on. The girls were there. Andy, Melinda, and Tommy were not there. They were watching via the webcast. I did speak with the family, and this is a difficult thing for them. I mean, this is hard to not only hear some of the ugly side, but to just kind of theorize openly about what's going on. I'm sure we got lots of questions, but I wanted to throw one at you because I know when you first went to work for the police department, you were actually working in animal services. Did you ever have to shoot the gun with the tranquilizer dart?
No, thankfully, no.
Yeah, that's such an interesting thing. And I wanted everyone to kind of know how that works, if I could take 1 minute. And the way that works, there are darts that are either prefabbed and have everything in them, including the explosive round that fires the projectile, or they can manually insert the chemical, whatever it is. So it might be an antibiotic that they use on cattle or a tranquilizer on deer. The thing that's so interesting is Barry Morphew is not unaccustomed to this. He had his own deer farm in Indiana, and there he was using a tranquilizer gun on a regular basis. So this is not a new science. Anybody that is theorizing that he was using the tranquilizer to tranquilize elk so that he could pull their antlers off, that would not be legal. And so he wasn't out just grabbing wildlife and shooting them with the tranquilizer gun. So why he had one still is really interesting. And some people have argued that it wasn't functional. We don't even know if there were more than one, but what we do know is that there were tranquilizers at the home. There was a cap, and there are two caps that are kind of interesting. And I forgot to ask Allie about this. There is a sleeve like you see on a needle over at the doctor's office that covers the needle on a hypodermic needle. Or on these tranquilizer darts, there's actually just a little nubbin of a plug that goes right over the tip of the needle on the projectile. And it's actually that when that thing hits an animal, that slides down and is actually the triggering mechanism to force the chemical into the animal. So we don't know if it was that little nubbin or if it was a larger sleeve covering the entire needle just to keep it protected. But that's something that people are going to ask about and wonder about.
Interesting.
So anyway,
well, let's get right into it. Excuse me. So I knew you're a cop. I knew it. Oh, well, no. So let's get right into it. So I am not a cop. I'm a lowly businessman. We'll just leave it at that.
I am so grateful for that, and Skylar's mother was incredibly grateful that he chose to go into business supporting law enforcement and other entities now. So. Right.
Well, let's change gears here and let's focus on all of you right now. That's kind of the whole reason we do these AMAs. A lot was happening with the Morphew case today, and so we had a lot to cover. But this is what we're doing: is Ask Mike Anything. So we want to make sure all of you have the ability to ask questions. If you're not a subscriber, you probably cannot type into the chat box. Hit the subscribe button, get the ability to do that, join in on the conversation. And we will start taking questions now. So it can be anything about cases. It can be anything about, Mike's personal life, about what Tyler does in his free time in the back office, anything, Tim's YouTube channel, whatever you guys want. But
I gotta add something. Allie just texted and said that it was actually the entire sheath. So it was the sheath that covers the entire needle of the projectile, not the little plug at the top.
Gotcha. Well, so anyway, So we're going to start looking for questions. Obviously, Super Chats is not required to do a Super Chat to get your question answered, but there are roughly 1,600 people in here watching and typing, and so it's going to be kind of hard to get to all the questions. So Super Chat questions will get asked at the top of the list, and then, I'll try to pick and choose as we go, and we'll find some. And if we can figure it out, we'll get a members-only chat turned on for just a few minutes and allow the members to be able to get questions answered. So, John Goffin, I guess. Hi, Mike. Does the prosecution have any evidence that a crime has been committed?
Oh, John, I would say absolutely. if you remember back when the DA was talking, she said we wouldn't be going forward if we didn't think we could prove this case. A circumstantial case today. I just got so excited in so many counts as I listened today to the circumstantial evidence that was piling up, in my opinion. And if we have time, Skylar, maybe I could kind of bounce through some of those. But John, I think absolutely the answer is yes. But it's a circumstantial evidence case complemented with forensic evidence, with eyewitness accounts, admissions, not necessarily confessions. But yeah, I think absolutely.
Great. And if we don't, excuse me, if we don't have time to get to that, we'll make you do a video and we'll just
there we
release
go.
it.
Immediately, that's so nice. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, thank you. So Renee Anderson would like to know if Linda got her date with Starsky. So those of you who don't know, Linda was on our show a while ago, Linda Stanley, and we brought the old Starsky on to meet her.
So yeah, for anybody that wondered, go back and watch our interview with the DA, who's the one asking the questions in this trial alongside her co-counsel. But one of the things we found out about the DA as we did a little background investigation was that she was a fan of Starsky and Hutch, the old television show. So we reached out to Michael Paul Glazer and asked him to come on the show and surprise Linda Stanley. And we just had a hoot that night. So go back and watch Starsky and Hutch and the three of us talking on Profiling Evil. We were just laughing and rolling in the aisles.
So Dogs with Jobs would like to know, was Barry's hearing today televised? Here's a good question for everybody.
Yeah, no, it was not. And I found it interesting. There were a couple of YouTube creators that were putting trial live at such and such a time. It made it feel like it was maybe going to be broadcast. But this thing is not being publicized. In fact, only 8 members of the public are allowed each day into the actual courtroom. And so that was really remarkable that Allie would go there at 3 o'clock in the morning to do that.
So T Diva would like to know if Tyler is a son as well. And before we move on answering that one, this is a question I always ask myself. What is Tyler doing in the back office?
Yeah, I think we need to have Tyler come on and defend himself on both of those questions and keep a little mystery so that he can either so that he has plausible deniability. So we'll see if he pops in here. Kirk, you'd think that he would have responsibility. So go ahead, Tyler.
I am just going through all these questions right now. That's what I'm looking at and seeing what ones we can answer. That's really.
And are you my son?
Nope, I'm not your son.
Okay, he's not my son.
Thank heavens. Oh, son.
There we go. Now
there you go.
We're ratting him out.
Now I got it. Yeah.
I can't be the one to do that, but you can. It's great to see you here.
Ding, ding, ding.
Thanks, Tyler. Let's see, Tyler, you ask this one.
All right. What happens to a person if they are shot with a tranquilizer gun? Do they die or fall asleep?
That's interesting, Lula Bell. So I guess it depends on what they're shot with and the dosage, just like any other kind of injection. And that really becomes the question. If you go onto YouTube and look up tranquilizer guns and watch them as they shoot cattle, for instance, they found that it's a much safer way of rather than roping cows. So Skylar's laughing because I get yammering on and on.
No. I like this question. Janet would like to know if I'm your son or your grandson.
Yeah, well, yeah. Janet, thanks a lot.
And then Mike, can you ice skate like Tanya Harding?
I can strike like Tanya Harding was allegedly able to strike.
Oh, geez. Oh, Kirby, thank you.
Hey, thanks, Kirby.
All right, so let's get back into some. Who's touching my buttons here? TPT4J, the People's Team for Justice. Wow. Anything deeper on Barry being cell phone pinned near mine caves?
Yeah, that was an interesting thing that came up today. I read a number of tweets on that, and it's going to be really interesting to see if anything comes out in day 4 or if we're going to have to wait till the trial to get that. And I don't know how many of you caught that. Again, go back and watch that little video where we talked about cell phone data and the way it can move around, because it is kind of difficult to track. And I just want to play in the corner while we're talking here. just what that really looks like. What I've had running, just sitting in my office for the last 22 minutes, is the movement on my cell phone. And just to give you an idea of, let's get this up here, of how much, just with a phone sitting in one location, how much that location can move around. So when the defense is arguing, hey, that person's going through walls, here's a perfect example of why that is such a confusing question and why we have to be so careful to apply science when we look at this kind of data, not just go, hey, there was a dot on the map that said they were right here, because it really could be problematic data. So it takes a lot more to it than just that. But anyway, I thought I'd throw that up there.
All right. So Kevin Winston would like to know, would you comment, Mike, on how you think Barry moved Suzanne to the 5 trash cans in Bloomfield? Allegedly, right? Because nothing has been firmly said, everybody. Since there was no blood, this is throwing me how he could. I'm going to throw could have done that.
Yeah, Kevin, I mean, your guess is as good as ours. If we don't know if, I mean, Barry's argument is that I have a really dirty truck and I decided to go to 5 different trash cans to dump it. The rest of us have to then apply what makes the most sense to us. And is it necessarily that if in fact he was responsible for Suzanne, that it was her, or was it something entirely different, like other evidence in the case, or something entirely innocuous and goofy? The thing that I thought was so important today, again, is not what's said, but what isn't said. And the thing that wasn't said is that Barry talked about the 5 trash cans, but he omitted the, I think the McDonald's and the Men's Warehouse clothing store dumpster that he went to. So you have to say why. And that's part of why circumstantial cases are so dang cool.
Yeah. So the good doctora is in the house. Hope she's doing good or doing well. Sorry, that was poor English. How does the Dr. Pepper's, I had to pop this up just because it's her, but the question is confusing to me. How does the Dr. Pepper sponsorship actually work? Do subs/members send you 6 packs of pop? No, no, nobody really does. Dr. Pepper does, because they're awesome. They send us a lot. Actually, I shouldn't say that. We have received so many awesome donations from everybody to get us Dr. Peppers to keep Tyler awake to all hours of the night editing videos. Tim, Mike, everybody, it's been awesome.
Hey, and I want you to, so this, I'm going to toast Draw Latina, because and only a few will understand when I say that. I'm actually trying tonight the cherry Dr. Pepper, which kind of is an interesting new twist for me. So, but yeah, thanks so much for that question. And folks, you can always volunteer to sponsor the Dr. Pepper night anyway, because that really helps us either way. So
North Star would like to know who the weird guy was that brought in AWP to help look for her.
Well, there was a batch of weird people, me being one, Skylar being one of them, Tyler being one of them. So I'm not sure, North Star, maybe you could give us a little further direction on which one of the weird ones, because we had a big group of people there, and that was a pretty remarkable thing. So
let's take a quick break here and just remind everybody what we're doing. We're doing an Ask Mike Anything at this moment, or for this, I guess, choir practice, which we've come to really enjoy, and we hope you all do too. So subscribers are allowed to chat right now and ask questions and do all that kind of stuff. I think we're going to try and do the members only for the next 5 or 10 minutes. So members only will be able to ask their questions, but just know all super chats get top priority. As soon as those come in, we get those answered, but they're not required to get it answers. Our Diedrich 59. Thank you so much. Roderick, you can't see us, right? No, we can.
We can see your name written, but we can't see you physically.
So while we're queuing this up to try to attempt it, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and we'll just continue with the normal subscriber only chat until we figure this out for maybe the next one. Mike, why don't you go ahead and show a couple books? We know you don't like to to show off your stuff, but you know, we want people to be able to see the books that we have out, and then we'll see if we're getting this working in the back office.
Okay, thanks. Hey, folks, we're really proud of a couple of things. One, and I know a number of you have purchased this, but my book, Deceived, an investigative memoir of the Zion Society cult. This is about a cult that I broke up 30 years ago. We ended up rescuing 32 children. We've been on Dr. Phil with this, and the doc's been really good about promoting the book. But it's available at profilingevil.com for hardbound versions, or you can get softbound on Amazon. And it's a pretty remarkable story. In July of this year was the actual 30-year anniversary of that event. And so that was a pretty emotional period of time for us. And we have since reunited with all the victims in that case. The other one is we just released a couple of weeks ago is the story of She Knew No Fear. It's a story of Jane Walton, Jane McKechnie Walton, who was murdered on July 24th, 1891. And 130 years later, we solved her murder. And we hope that you like this. Again, hardbound at profilingevil.com. And as long as I can, I'm going to continue to just sign these if you want that one. And you can also get it on Amazon in ebook or paperback or whatever. So anywhere in the world, you can get that and be able to access that.
So we've got members only chat going. We're going to do this for 5 minutes. So hang out. If you're not a member, don't worry. We're going to do this for just a couple of minutes. Maui Girl would like to know if you can show the map where Suzanne's helmet was found.
Yeah, Maui Girl, give me a minute while we're answering another question. I'll pull this back up. I actually got rid of it. But, and again, how reliable my information is again, only based on what people who are fairly intimate with the case have told us. So I'll pop that up here in just a minute.
And real quick, Mike, and we'll probably get some questions about this. Any updates in Summer's case? We're going to just roll with members only for a couple more minutes. So let's get these questions answered quick and then more as we go.
Yeah, no, there continues to be all these ghost stories that pop up. This week alone, I saw that Summer had been recovered, that her toys had been recovered, that there's a stench in the mountains. I mean, folks, there is so much going on. Imagine how difficult this is for law enforcement. We have not heard anything credible at this point that we're ready to come back out and talk about. And I know that sometimes it's something you want, but I'm just not going to go back and regurgitate things that we've talked about, but we do have videos out there. We hope you'd look at them where we talk about all the intricacies of this thing and the real evidence that's come forth to date. So please take advantage of that.
So Kaylin would like to know if anyone heard about someone climbing the ridge behind the fire station with the headlamp after dark on the 10th.
I think we need to see if somebody pops in on the videos. That's not ringing a bell for me.
And then how do we get a signed copy? At profilingevil.com, everybody, profilingevil.com. I'm gonna go through just a couple more real quick here, Mike, and then we'll get back to subscribers. Tyler, get that queued up. Wendy, hey Skylar, as a brother-in-law, did you ever question Tyler on dating your sister? I mean, I was like, what, 16, Tyler? I don't think I really had a whole lot of questioning to give at that point. Mike, will the trial be allowed to be televised on court TV?
I don't know. I mean, thus far, Judge Murphy has erred on the side of caution, which to me suggests that he probably is going to continue. During COVID and last year, he made sure that all of the hearings were available to the public. But again, if you remember, he made a very strong statement about how social media and others had violated that clause to not rebroadcast. And whether it's true or not, that was his reason for doing it the way he did and backing off. Cherry vanilla, I'm going to have to try that. The cream soda Dr. Pepper, I found that I like Diet Dr. Pepper better. But
great. Well, and thank you, Andy Crayons, for that. Plug for Deceived. Get it. You won't be disappointed. Plus, I hear IR in Mr. Mike's voice in my head. I don't know what that means.
Well, and we got to just call out Andy. I mean, she, as we led up to the big search last year on Suzanne, she just was really good to us. And then she went missing in action for a short while, and then it's good to see her back.
So let's jump back to subscribers chat. Thank you. I think we're going to get all the questions answered that I have sitting here with this map, showing the map. A lot of the stuff that was outstanding, I think, had to do with the map. So we appreciate our members very much.
So from the most information that we have, it appears that the helmet was recovered somewhere around this area. And this is going back to information that we got from people that were searching when Suzanne first came up missing and that helmet was discovered. Now, it could be wrong. These other marks on the map are just simply the Morphew home, the place where the bike was recovered down in this gully here. And this red here, if you remember, was when we debunked Barry's story that a mountain lion drug her off. We actually brought in the experts to look at the way in which a mountain lion would drag something, where they would drag them, the behavior of a mountain lion, how far they would drag an individual, and kind of looked at it that way. So hopefully that was helpful.
Great. Okay, everybody, we are back to Ask Mike Anything. All subscribers to the channel are allowed to type questions. I'll grab as many as I can. If I do not grab yours, I'm sorry, but just know super chats are not required, but they will be given priority as we're asking questions. Cindy Curran would like to know if any fingerprints were found on the helmet. Sorry.
So there's lots of discussion around that. And I think today I saw some tweets. Again, I wasn't in the courtroom, but I was catching as many tweets as I could in between meetings. And it looks like there was DNA recovered on the helmet and the bicycle that came into question. But again, I don't know that they really have narrowed that down to say anything. And frankly, I don't know that it would matter if for instance, Barry's DNA was on the bicycle or the helmet. All he's got to do is say, yeah, I move the bike in the garage all the time or something. So kind of
there was a round of Facebook friend requests out to random guys on Suzanne's Facebook account. Do we remember what time those happened?
Yeah, that was late at night. And if you remember, Andy Mormon, Suzanne's brother, actually talked about that. They were requests to a bunch of his friends, which was completely out of character for Suzanne. And that was, I think, after 11 o'clock at night on the evening of the 9th. What we do know from testimony in the last couple of days is that after about 2:30 in the afternoon, Suzanne's communications ceased until those Facebook things later in the night, which again were really out of character, according to Andy.
Angel Eyes, how many children do you have, Mike? And thank you for all you do. And she is from Canada.
Ooh, thank you. So I have 3 children, and we really like them all. So
most of them. Nanny Mo, $5. What do you think the bombshell is Allie alluded to?
Wow. I don't know. We better see if Allie will text us and we'll pass that on. There were a number of things that I thought were, again, really interesting things that came up today. The fact that Barry said, hey, listen, it was just happen chance that I turned left to look at the elk, and that's where the helmet's found. That, hey, it was just happen chance that I was at the 5 different garbage cans doing things. Just happen chance. I mean, it's interesting how when you build a circumstantial case, there are so many coincidences that they become evidence.
So Megan Music, she would like to know, we're going to change gears to another case right now. What are your thoughts on Chad, assuming Chad Daybell, signing away his right to a speedy trial? What does this mean?
Yeah, it could be that the prosecutor or the defense is just saying we need more time to put an adequate defense. They may be trying to hold out to see if Lori comes back and is found deemed competent, and to see how she's responding in her hearings. Or it could be that both sides are trying to figure out how they're going to leverage Lori's competency against Chad's upcoming trial, and especially now that they've introduced a capital murder case, which means he can be executed. They probably are thinking we want a little more time.
So Karma Justice, hi Mike. Do you think this was premeditated? Again, back to Morphew. If so, how long?
Wow. So Karma Justice, I have no idea. My sense would be that when this is all said and done, if in fact Barry is responsible for Suzanne's death, that it probably was something that happened in a fit of anger. And then there was a huge effort to try to somehow clean it up. When we look at these kinds of cases, we kind of think back about when all of us were kids and we would play a game, and if it didn't go right, we would yell, "Hey, do-overs." And we see criminals in these major cases like this who, once they realize what they've done, they're trying to figure out, how can I get a do-over? How can I fix this? And that's kind of my thought.
So Michaela would like to know if we're going to do a video rundown of what happened today.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe like a conglomerative kind of recap of the entire thing. Maybe we'll take bits and pieces from this and other stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, a cliff note maybe of some kind, like we did. My way of doing it probably is more about, let's look at some of the real challenging points, like the cell phone data. And the reason we did the little video this morning was to talk about that. We might do one on the tranquilizer gun, or the crazy occurrence of turning to look for elk when it happened to be right where a helmet was laying, things like that.
So run your plate. Was Barry really supposed to pick up Morgan at 5:30 p.m.? Only saw Lauren say that. Maybe Allie remembers.
Yeah. In actuality, just what Morgan Gentile said was that she was expecting Barry to pick her up at 5:30 in the morning that Sunday. She heard his vehicle outside of her home between 4 a.m. and 4:30 a.m. and she distinctly knows the sound of his vehicle and the way it runs, and that she wasn't surprised that he left her and went alone there. It was all put together really quickly, and it'll be interesting when Morgan actually takes the stand. I doubt very much we're going to see anyone who is not law enforcement take the stand tomorrow. In a preliminary hearing, what you want to do is put people on that you're pretty sure are bulletproof to the challenges of the defense, and folks that have never been on the stand before can be a little more challenging. So I don't think we'll see Morgan until the trial.
So Catherine Shearson, Mike, when will the judge? Oh boy, sorry everybody. Mike, when will the judge announce if he will carry the case over for trial?
I suspect he'll rule pretty quickly. This is a personal feeling that I have, Catherine, but I think Judge Murphy will rule to bind Barry over for trial. I think we're going to find, and we won't know until tomorrow, or maybe as soon as the arrest affidavit's released, that he's the one who actually signed the arrest affidavit. It only makes sense to me. The only other judge that could have signed, I believe, was part-time and newer at the time. So I'm putting all my money on the fact that Judge Murphy signed the arrest affidavit. For him to turn around and say, "Oh, that was a really bad arrest affidavit and there was no evidence," would almost be like him indicting himself that I didn't do a very good job in reviewing this arrest affidavit. So I just think the writing is on the wall, given the fact that the prosecution has put together a pretty compelling case, even with all of the challenges that have been really good, powerful challenges by the defense. I think the judge is going to find that, and he's going to make a decision pretty quick.
So Andy Crayon, sorry if this was asked. In your opinion, do you think they'll pursue the death penalty? I know Colorado abolished it July 1st, but this predates it. Any chance?
Andy, I did some research on that, and I'm not exactly sure that it did predate that. I think that the repeal in Colorado happened shortly before Suzanne disappeared. So we'll need to go back and check that. And you could just go back and check that and check death penalty in Colorado. I think it's going to show that it was just slightly before. Regardless, the judge, I think, has made a determination this will be a life without parole kind of case. at the maximum. But again, I hope I'm not confusing two different cases.
Suzanne Boyden, what about fingerprints and or footprints in the Summer Wells case?
Yeah. So Suzanne, I guess the question is what fingerprints? Because there's going to be fingerprints of the family all over that house. There are going to be footprints of the family all over that house. It was a dirt area that I don't know the last time it rained, but Tennessee gets a lot of rain. So what footprint? That's what's really going to become important. And then if it was collected, and then if all of the other footprints and fingerprints can be excluded, then it becomes important evidence. But that's a tall order. It'll be interesting to see. So thanks for that question, because it really is an important question. And man, those are hard things to figure out.
So CM would like to know when we think the arrest affidavit will be released.
You know, I would bet that just watching Linda Stanley in action, I would bet that she's going to ask the court to rule immediately on it tomorrow. I wouldn't be surprised if the court isn't prepared to order on it or answer tomorrow. They did say, I think, a week after the 24th, which means the 31st. I just don't know whether the judge will say, hey, we're going to release it on this date, or if we'll have to wait that 7-day period that the judge originally talked about. But I think it's going to be coming pretty quick, and that's going to be a heavy thing. I mean, think about the judge saying, this is the biggest one I've ever seen in my career. 130 pages. Big deal.
Yeah. So North Star, this is a great question. And for everybody listening, this is a great thing. Do you guys work random missing persons cases? If so, can you check into Adam Airman case in Kansas? Herman. Oh yeah. Sorry, I was reading it in Spanish. That's my fault.
Yeah.
So we have what's called the evidence room on our website, profilingevil.com/evidence room. And so everything entered into there is what we have Mike look at. So if you do a lot of great, before work and get us a lot of information on the case, the more information we have, the easier it is to get it in front of Mike to review. Does Mike go work on missing persons cases? No. But does he analyze and explain kind of things that he would do, or that law enforcement is doing, like when they say something, what they mean by that? That's exactly what we're here for, to teach, to analyze, to do all that kind of stuff. We're not out investigating cases. That's law enforcement's job. That's what they're there for. But we are here to help you all know exactly what everything means that they're telling us.
Yeah.
Any additions to that?
No, that's great. That's great. Great question. And don't forget that other case in Kansas that we have worked on, missing person Angela Green, that we never will give up on. We continue to look into that and continue to talk with Ellie about that. So yeah, keep in mind that there are many cases.
So Teresa, thank you so much. How did law enforcement figure out Barry moved Suzanne's body?
So I don't know that there's ever been any evidence to say that they did. I mean, they would have to show that. That's the part of the circumstantial case that just says A plus B equals C. It always has, always will. And that's why they're building a case saying, here's where the two planets collided. Here's where things separated, where Suzanne disappeared, where Barry's behavior was different. And they're going to try to bring that together and have that be how they prove that he was responsible for her death. Circumstantial cases are tough. And boy, it just shows the grit of this prosecution in the 11th district to go after this case.
So Katrina, whatever happened to Trevor Noel?
I hear people still mentioning his name, Katrina. So I guess we'll see if he becomes one of those witnesses that get on the stand. I did notice the other day that the GoFundMe is no longer showing. Now, it may have been that I couldn't find it, but it will be interesting to see. And I'm going to love to hear what he has to say at some point as more information comes out, and he has to resolve whether he believes the state's information or Barry's.
So Kirsten Froscheiser would like to know, do we know anything yet about the attempting to influence the public official?
No, that's a different set of charges that are not part of this preliminary hearing. So as soon as they get done with this one, we're probably going to see him go after Barry on the other charges, or they will waive the prelim on those particular cases, just really focusing on the murder. But that's when we'll see that come out.
So Kitty Sanders would like to know, Mike, interested in your thoughts on Barry's immunity statement / question.
Yeah, isn't that, man, intriguing? Almost one of those bombshells of the day of did he really say it in a way that he was saying, hey, if I tell you everything, will you give me immunity? Or if he just said something really stupid. I mean, the police department, obviously the sheriff's office said, at this point, no immunity. That's something you don't just offer someone without sitting down with the prosecutor. So an investigator doesn't say, hey, yeah, just tell me. And there's, nothing's going to happen. That's not their call.
You got it, Kirsten Froscheiser. You got it. That was all luck. I'm good at Spanish names, or Latin American names, Latin names, all that. I'm really good with those, but sometimes those names I don't even know what that is.
So
is that German?
It's a Germanic name, yeah. I would say at least we'll have to see if she comes back on that. Yes, it is a German name. At least I've seen it in German.
Linda Petrovich, I can do those ones too. When this case goes to trial, will they have to show the case online? Will they have to, I guess, broadcast that? Yeah,
Linda, we talked about that a little bit earlier. I don't think that they will. I think we're seeing what the judge is planning on doing. And so what the judge may do is agree to have one media outlet be the one filming and everyone else has access to that data like we see in some cases. But I think this judge just tipped his hand about how he's going to handle this case. We'll see.
So I just had one. Oh, there it is. Carolyn Nowak, anything new regarding the West Boys?
Yeah, no. I mean, Bakersfield is remaining really closed-lipped. Again, I hear lots of people regurgitating the same information. We've talked internally about whether we should do something on that case. But really, until some things start to unfold, there are so many ghost stories out there about what's possible. But we really need to let law enforcement continue to do things. And I just guarantee folks that Bakersfield and California City have a strong idea of what happened. They're just putting together the puzzle pieces that they need.
So, Megan Music, why won't they let EquiSearch come in and help search for Summer? Is it because they think they might know where she is or what happened?
So I don't know if that's how what the politics are there, Megan, but I do know that EquiSearch from that region has searched. I'm almost positive they have searched. I know that there have been some additional things that people have wanted to see happen. Maybe even EquiSearch members have suggested, but I just don't know for sure. But if you checked the section of EquiSearch in that area has actually had an opportunity to search. But again, I might be wrong.
So, he said there is a lot of politics that can happen, and that's one thing we've been trying to really bring to light is how these outside like Adventures with Purpose and others can help law enforcement. And big shout out to Morgan County Sheriff's Office again here in Utah. That was just absolutely awesome of the sheriff to help us do that search. I was talking to him up on the ridge, and I've known the sheriff for years. I've known him for a very long time. I worked with him in business things for a long time, and he was telling me, he's like, man, I don't have this kind of equipment to go do this kind of stuff. I don't know why more people don't grab.
Looks like Skylar froze. There we go. Maybe he's coming back.
So yeah. Anyway, sorry, but he was talking about how he doesn't have the equipment, or his scuba team, dives once a year, twice a year. And how important it is to be able to use some of these tools that are out there to help with them. And so that's something we're trying to do with that sheriff, specifically with AWP, with us and others, is to really help get the community involved, but appropriately. Get the community involved appropriately. So, Teresa, sorry, did you have something to say? You seemed like you were going to say something.
No.
Okay,
no.
Teresa Monroe, question, how did law enforcement
figure out
out
Suzanne.
Suzanne's body was moved. Good job.
Again, Teresa, I don't know that law enforcement has done anything more than a circumstantial case that says A plus B equals C. A, we believe they are saying that Barry terminated Suzanne's life at the house, or at least got control of her there. B, that she disappeared. So C, he probably murdered her and transported her body somewhere. That's how I think that's coming together, unless there's something I've completely missed. But again, this is the challenge and the strength of circumstantial cases, because think about this pool of evidence that we look at in criminal cases. And you can go back and watch one of my videos where we talk about the forms of evidence. But the bottom line is there are several forms of evidence. There's physical and forensic kinds of evidence. There's eyewitness accounts. There are confessions and behavioral evidence. And what a circumstantial case built on evidence does is it combines a lot of those together. And you just don't take cases to court on just one form of evidence. So almost every case becomes a circumstantial evidence case when you put them together, but this one without a body is really challenging. So
hipster Mike, let's see the shirt. It looks a little funky compared to your normal attire.
It's just a polo. Somebody once said, "Hey, I think you're wearing a racing shirt or something." You know what? It's an Izod shirt that was on sale, so nothing special. But thanks, Catherine.
So Navy Vet, thanks for the 10. Really appreciate that.
Oh, thanks, Navy Vet.
The last Tyson Draper video behind the old house shows a burn spot, big burn spot, 2 trees, like you could hang an animal and burn.
Yeah, I don't know what that was all about. Of course, it was new owners. We have no idea how that happened, when it happened. And certainly law enforcement would have excavated that if there was any question that they were concerned about. But yeah, good question, Navy Vet.
So real quick, everybody, profilingevil.com/evidence room to submit different cases and things. Do the research, give us as much information as you can. That helps us with our limited time being able to do it. I'm stalling because I'm making Mike read a text message at the moment.
Oh,
so
I'm going to check it out.
So anyway, and then also at profilingevil.com, you can order Mike's books, get signed copies, as well as merchandise. We have t-shirts, all sorts of stuff. It just helps us continue doing this. And it also helps us have walking advertisements to continue to build our family. So we appreciate you all that have done that. And yeah, great. So this is an Ask Mike Anything. We're going to wrap up here in about, 10 or 15 minutes. So get your questions out, get them ready for us. Let's see here. Mike, real quick. Why did Barry randomly lay down on the ground spread eagle during his only participation search? Remember that shenanigan.
Interesting, LA. Yeah, I wondered how many people saw that. Again, don't know. I mean, to the individual that was there, the picture, it was odd. And that was in the first days of Suzanne's disappearance, when Andy and family came out to search and people spread out. It will be interesting if more comes out about that. We'll leave it at that. And thank you so much for that question. Wow. You've been watching this a long time.
Why is Skylar's room still pink? Okay, let's get back to the situation here. It is not pink. That back there changes color. Okay, it's turning pink right now. This is bad timing. But it is not pink. It is a color changing light. And then this thing right here is my computer that also has lights on it that are pink. And so it makes the wall. See, it's blue now. So it
looks pretty pink to me.
That is blue, 100% blue. But I'm not ashamed of pink. I'm going to wear a pink shirt next week.
No.
Okay, well, we got to ask it because it's been asked about 50,000 times tonight. Mike, can you explain the number 5?
No, but Lucy, thank you so much. I think it will become more evident as time comes on, and it's just one of those cards you hold in your back pocket, and it's interesting to see some of the possibilities. But Yeah, Lucy, thanks. You've been around a long time too, haven't you, watching this? Thank you.
My grandson thinks it's a Minecraft shirt. Oh, okay. I
Is
don't
that
think Mike
good? I
understands
don't
what
know.
that means. He just laughed because he felt like he should. It's
Yeah, I
a
don't know if that means anything.
it's a video game that you like build stuff or something. Okay, let's see here. Again, thank you everybody, all of our YouTube subscribers, our YouTube members. We really do appreciate all of you, and those of you who help donate to the burial plot and memorial service for Thunder and her family. We really do appreciate that. We will have an update with that soon.
Well, and Thunder was going to slip on tonight, and honestly, just a few minutes ago, I got a text from her saying, "Hey, was I supposed to be on tonight? I'm at back to school night." So she's in the right place.
Good. So Danielle Revel Baker, it's so sad to think SM tries to fight for her life and then gets shot with a tranquilizer, makes it where she couldn't get away. You think they would have enough to find him guilty? You think?
Yeah, this will be interesting. If in fact the tranquilizer plays into the overall theory, which it sure is looking like they're building a lot around, doesn't it, Danielle? Yeah, and I thought it was interesting today. Now, I pointed out very clearly that the cellular data bounces, and it's not likely that the cellular data is accurately showing what may or may not have happened in that house. But what is clear is today evidence was presented that said that there was damage to the interior frame of the door into the master bedroom where Suzanne was, and that it was consistent with that door being forced open, and that there was an unspent 22 cartridge recovered in that room. Again, there could be reasons for that, and you don't shoot a 22 cartridge in the dart gun. So keep in mind, there was no blood recovered. Police talked about that at the home. And so there are lots of really interesting questions still going on.
Yeah. Lots of pink hearts out there, I guess.
Yeah.
Pink hearts for the pink room. That's what they're doing.
Well, and for cancer, breast cancer, and other things, right?
Well, I think it has to do with Tim typing pink hearts for Skylar.
Oh, yeah. Well,
that'll get it. Okay. Let's see, everybody. We just have a couple more minutes. Mike, go ahead and read over any text messages from the back office while we try to find a couple more questions to end.
There is, folks. There is a concerted effort to shame me on global YouTube television, and
that sounds like a yes.
I'm ignoring the texts in the back.
That's a yes, Tyler. That's a yes, Tyler. That's a yes. That's 100% a yes.
So let's just see if there are any other questions. And
that's a yes, Tyler.
Yeah, we'll see.
I'll take the repercussions. Early Sunday morning on the way out. So Savannah Davis, thank you so much. Early Sunday morning on the way out, they said Barry turned around near a mine. Do you have any thoughts about this?
Yeah, lots of questions. I mean, what a great place to dump a body in one of the many mines that are in the area. So it does become really interesting, and it will be interesting to see if they bring anything up. I don't believe that there is any chance that they found Suzanne or we would know about it, but we'll wait and see.
So Carolyn Johnson, thank you so much for the $5 super chat donation, whatever it's called. Thank you. Mike just had to say She Knew No Fear is a great book. Highly recommend it. I think Jane would be proud of you. Love AMA nights.
Thank you so much, Carolyn. And I hope that Jane doesn't grab me by the ear one day and say, you had it completely wrong. But we do think we solved her murder. So that's pretty exciting. Thank you, Carolyn.
Sunshine Girl, do you think that if she was on her bike, he drove behind her and shot her with the tranquilizer, and she went off the road down the steep hill, and he went and got her and brought her somewhere?
Yeah, great question, Sunshine Girl. No, I don't think that, based on the evidence, the physical evidence at the scene. Again, we've heard over and over again testimony that there was nothing physical to support that there was an accident. There were scuff marks on the road. There were marks against trees or anything else. I just don't believe that for a moment. I believe that bike was staged and part of a bigger plan.
Great. So let's see if we have any other questions. Can you give your thoughts on Barry asking for immunity? I think we talked about this a little bit, but maybe just one more time.
Yeah,
Recap it.
just the same thing, Arizona Rat, and that is, how weird is that, and how powerful, and I don't know that people really recognize how powerful that statement was in this whole circumstantial case. Would anyone else say, hey, my wife's missing, but is there any immunity available if I give you more information? I mean, that's really weird to me. That's one of those omissions, not a confession, but I mean, not an omission, admissions, not a confession, but an admission that I think is really powerful.
Crystal McCormick, Mike, what do you make of the injuries on
I
Barry's
was
hand?
waiting for somebody to come up with what the defense has argued against all day long, and what the prosecution has made point over and over again, is that they believe that there are fingernail scratches and marks on Barry's arms consistent with someone fighting him off. I think that's going to be incredibly compelling circumstantial evidence. They got great photographs of it. Now, Barry's in the construction business, so there could be explanations for that. But again, circumstantial cases are how many coincidences are possible in a case. And there are a lot of coincidences piling up.
So, Patty Gee, do you think Barry may have rode the bike to the dump site?
Well, he had a pickup truck, so there's, I guess, several options of how he could do it there. I think what we learned today is more consistent with he drove his vehicle over there, because they have GPS data showing the vehicle where the bike was at, like, I don't know, 2 or 3 in the morning. So you'll have to go back and validate that. But I think he drove it over and threw it down.
I just had one and now I've lost it. Well, here's one. Danielle Revel Baker. I was asking, do you think they will have enough to find him guilty or have enough to take to trial?
Yes, I do, Danielle. I do believe that he will be bound over for trial. Having come to know the district attorney in that area, and again, go back and watch our videos with DA Stanley on a couple of different shows. When she says, I wouldn't move forward if I didn't think I could convict him, I believe that.
Is there an arrest coming for Mr. Miliete?
Yeah, this is going to be another interesting one. And you know, I talk with the Miliete family from time to time. We probably need to get them back on a choir practice just to catch you all up. This is one of those cases that I think there's a lot of information. We just need to wait for all the evidence to come together. Are those racing things, maybe? So I don't know.
Sure. Oh yeah, racing flags.
Hey, and I don't know. Did you all see? And if not, go back and watch. We actually sponsored a race car for Suzanne. Her picture was on the front of a car that Andy sponsors. Right. And so if you're into racing, now that I got my racing shirt on, go back. Great picture with Suzanne on the front of the race car with Profiling Evil on it. A lot of fun. I don't know if the back office can find that and pop it up or not.
Oh boy, no. Tanya Houseman, thank you for the super sticker. Katie Dutch wants to know, I think in regards to just all the stuff going on with the trials, if you'll be on tomorrow.
You know, Katie, I'm thinking that we'll jump on tomorrow night, probably around 9 o'clock, if that'll work for the back office. I'm going to be doing court TV at 9 p.m. Eastern time. And then maybe later in the evening, we can get together and catch up. So thanks, Katie. That would be great.
Awesome. Well, folks, I think we're wrapping up. Questions are starting to die down a little bit. I hope we've answered as many as we can. Mike, I'm going to let you talk about anything you need to talk about for a minute while we see if there's any last questions, and then we can probably wrap it up.
Yeah, I mean, I think to me this case is boiling down to an incredibly powerful circumstantial case, and we cannot lose sight of you can't have too many coincidences and not have it become evidence, circumstantial evidence. A couple of things that really jumped out to me is the position of the defense saying when Suzanne texted, "I'm done," she wasn't saying the marriage is done. She's saying, "I'm done having a cup of coffee." I'll let you guys decide on that one, but that was really important to me. The GPS stuff we talked about, the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation clearly said most elk shed their antlers in March. Again, one of those wacky circumstances. Is it a coincidence, or does it lead to that helmet that was recovered right where Barry turned left and made his turn? Why on earth was his phone in airplane mode for 6 hours? And we actually created a map to show what a 3-hour drive time would be from that house for that 6 hours, to make it more clear how absolutely massive the search area would have been if in fact he traveled 3 hours either one way and then back and made it back to turn that cell phone back on. The area is so huge. It's just unbelievable. In fact, I'm going to pop that up real quickly just to make it so evident. This is showing the entire state of Colorado. And I'm going to pop, I know we're trying to hurry. So here, I'm going to go really fast. Here it is. So, I mean, isn't this incredible, Skylar, when you think that outline is the state of Colorado, that green point on the map is the Puma Path home. And again, 6 hours that phone was on airplane mode, folks. This is how far Barry could have driven based on traffic at 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday morning, Mother's Day, not in the middle of rush hour, not any, this is during that time when his phone was turned off. This is so incredibly compelling when you think about that kind of information and how hard it is for law enforcement to find something. A couple of other things is that the hot tub story came into question, that the chemicals came into question. There's real question in my mind about whether that hotel room really does stink of chlorine all the time, or if it was only at the time that this individual was occupying the room. It's going to be really important to get more information about that. Under Sheriff Rorich's comment, Chief Rorich was really powerful on the stand, talking about what was found in the home, how he felt about the interviews and the behavior. I also really appreciated hearing the bicycle was not consistent with a crash. Further investigation showed that it was ghost-ridden, pushed down the hill. This is very consistent with what we've talked about over and over again. And then again, the idea that of those 5 dump sites that are brought up, the only thing that Barry ever talked about were the dumpsters by the Broomfield Hotel. He again overstayed or did not state the RTD bus stop, the McDonald's, or the Men's Warehouse, which was really important. And then don't forget that admission, hey, could I get immunity if I talk to you, even though I don't know anything? Kind of an odd statement. So with all of that, I'll stop my yammering and just tell you all how much we appreciate you at Profiling Evil, how much I appreciate the back office and all that they do. Michelle Ballard, thank you so much for that. Folks, we really appreciate your comments. If you haven't subscribed, would you please hit the subscribe button? We want you in the family. We want you to get the notifications when we send stuff out. And send us your critiques, because we do read them and we try to make this channel better every day. And I hope that it's kind of touching the place for you. And so, Skylar, you asked me if I had anything to say. I've rambled for like 10 minutes. I'm going to leave it with you and just again say thanks to everybody.
No, thank you, Mike. This is my least favorite time of the night, when I see everybody who's sad they didn't get their questions answered. And I am sorry. Next time, I hope. Next time, we'll get them all answered. I try to get as many as I can, and you'll notice a lot of people just type their questions over and over till they get it, and eventually I catch them. But I'm sorry if I didn't. Again, thanks, everybody. Tyler, Tim, back office guys. they're do way more than I'm here because I can't do anything back there. Basically, I don't know how to do anything. So thank those guys. Big Tyler's nodding his head. Thank those guys for everybody. They do so much for us. But yeah, Mike, I don't think we have any other questions. Your show.
No,
I'll let you wrap this
I
sucker
can't
off.
take the shame of my my daughter-in-law and my daughter. So play your video. And
I don't know that we have it. We will work on it for next time.
Oh, good. Well, that's going to be perfect because my weak spot or my weak moment is over, and we'll just deny that from now on. But that's perfect. So
no,
thanks.
It'll be ready next week, everyone. Have a great night.